If you want a senior executive position this year, your resume should no longer look like the version that landed you the current job. At your level with about 20 years of experience, the candidates you'll be competing with might be just as competent as you are, if not more so. The audience reading your resume now are at higher level as well, including board members, CEOs, CHROs, and executive recruiters. Before we get started, I noticed that 82% of you who have watched this channel frequently did not subscribe. If you ever find the videos helpful, can you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button? Because it helps the channel more than you know, and the bigger the channel gets, the higher the value you will get. So what are the mistakes you are making that makes your profile average? Mistake number one is you are still using a purely chronological or pure functional resume. The chronological format by itself does not work because you are making the reader work much harder to figure out what you have to offer. In other words, you are not making yourself relevant to the audience. The executive recruiters and employers must read between the lines of the chronological format to fish out what they are actually looking for. In similar case, a purely functional resume would not work well because you are not giving the audience any chronological context for any of your achievements. With this type of format, what I often see is candidates typically have section listing 10 to 15, even 20 bullet points that include all their accomplishments stacked up. For anyone who is reading your resume, they would not know whether it was achieved 2 years ago, 15, or even 20 years ago. The option that works best is a hybrid resume format that utilizes the best of both formats. So what does that look like? The top part of this format is functional with list of your competence, signature achievements, and the leadership brand. Then the following parts places these accomplishments into context in a chronological section of job positions. There are several videos in this channel explaining exactly how to write it section by section. If you have trouble finding them, leave in a comment and I'll send you the link to these videos. The second mistake is it's either too short or too long. Some executives make the mistake of listing every accomplishment they ever had, thinking if I put every main achievement, there must be something that resonates with the employer. Now, let me be blunt here. Writing a resume that is 5-6 page long is useless. No one wants to read that much, and nobody really cares what you did in 1998. The extreme of this is saying too little. You write a sketchy one-page resume and expect the opportunity to discuss details during the interview, which of course never comes. It's actually not that hard to strike a right balance. You want to keep your executive resume to 2 pages. Now you might be asking me how to tell compelling stories of my 20 years experience with just 2 pages. First of all, restrict your impact into a short summary, maximum 1 to 2 sentences. This will force you to cut out the unnecessary details, or in the case of those who write too little, this will also force you to write enough. You can start by thinking about what do they need to know to decide whether they want to invite you for an interview. Now, let's say the employer is looking for a CFO position. Here are the main questions they may have. What's your experience in strategic planning? Here, they will be looking for evidence on your resume of your involvement in developing and executing strategic financial plans aligned with overall business objectives. Your experience in diverse financial areas. So what about the breadth of your financial experience, including areas like budgeting, forecasting, and financial analysis? Next, leadership and change management. So have you led through organizational change, restructuring, or mergers and acquisition? Inside of M&A experience, have you successfully led M&A activities, including due diligence, negotiations, and integration? Then, communication skills. Can you communicate with and influence internal and external stakeholders, including board, executive team, and investors? International exposure. What about managing financial operations in global context, including dealing with currency issues and international regulations? These are generic qualities. Then, depending on the organization's needs and business cycle, they will have specific questions that need to be answered when reading your resume. So when reading your resume, they have these questions in their mind, and your job is to answer these questions with your resume. This is the only way to help you stand out and get invited to the next step, which is an interview. I have created videos about how to find these specific needs and do the research. So if you want that video, comment and I will send you the link. Mistake number 3 is you lack of leadership brand. At the executive level, you should have already developed a strong leadership brand. This is a place you want to clearly articulate your leadership brand and how it aligns with the needs of the company and the team on your resume. Are you a disruptive leader? You are okay with making people a little uncomfortable in order to drive that transformational change to get your organization to the next level. Or are you a turnaround leader? You are able to fix things broken and turn around a function that was underperforming. Or are you a stabilizer? You understand what's already working well and you can protect it and leverage the momentum for future organizational growth. You have worked so hard to build your brand, and the last thing you want to do is to forget to include it in your resume. Mistake number 4 is when describing your achievements, you use bullet points instead of telling a story. So what do I mean by using storytelling in your resume? It's a creative and communicative alternative to the traditional bullet point resume. Yes, there are still some similarities. For example, there are 2 pages and describe an executive's professional career and leadership brand. A storytelling resume stands out in its own approach. What's unique about it is that various sections of the resume are presented in paragraph form, showcasing short events that summarizing the candidate's journey as a leading character of the story. So why does it work so well? Because you are keeping your audience in mind, the hiring managers. What do they want to see? They want to understand not only what you have achieved, but how you can contribute, how you can benefit their organization. They want the insights in terms of how you can help their organization solve their problems based on your past achievements and your potential for future growth and scalability. Therefore, when you are writing your resume, you want to make sure that you help your audience picture the impact you would have on their company. I have a full video explaining how to write a storytelling resume. Leave your comment if you would like me to send you the link. Now let's move on to the next mistake. That is your design looks unprofessional and feels outdated. It is actually so common for senior executives to underestimate the importance of resume design, especially if you are very, very result-driven. Here's the fact. Even the most compelling story will not be effective if it doesn't have a high level of professionalism in the look and feel. This means you need to make sure your resume looks polished and doesn't have any sloppy mistakes, spelling mistakes, or outdated design choices. For example, inconsistent layout, small or multiple fonts, lack of white space on the page, margins that are too narrow. Having worked so hard on the content, it is important to get this part right as well. Your goal here is to use formatting selectively, but use it to highlight the key pieces of information so that even a skim reader gets a clear sense of what you have to offer. Because a resume that looks unprofessional or feels outdated can immediately turn off potential employers, even if your qualifications and experience are impressive. So make sure your resume has a modern design and use a clear and easy to read fonts. If you're serious about advancing your career to the senior executive level this year, submit your application to the 1% Academy program where you'll be coached by myself. Not only that, you will also network with other like-minded leaders with international backgrounds. You want to go to inspiremyday.org/apply or click the link in the description below to book a free strategy call with myself or my team. Having the right resume is just one step I took to get 2 vice president positions in the 2 largest companies in Sweden by market cap, and there are 5 more other steps as well. I have organized all the 6 steps into a free training. You can sign up from the link in the description below. For now, I will leave you with this video to find out how to turn bullet points into story in your executive resume. I'll see you there.